What's up everybody, and welcome to another easy math video. Today our focus is going to be on multiples and lowest common multiples. Now let's get started by defining what is a multiple. Okay, so a multiple is essentially the values inside of a numbers times table. Now that might sound really wordy and complicated to you, but it's really not. And if I show you an example right now, it's totally going to make sense and you're going to understand it. So let's start off with the number 2, the 2 times table. Okay, we're going to start off with 2, okay, followed by 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so you can see here, these are all multiples of 2. The number itself is always the first multiple because 2 times 1 gives us 2. 2 times 2 gives us 4. 2 times 3 gives us 6. 2 times 8 gives us 8. And 2 times 5 gives us 10. All multiples of 2. We can go on forever like this. I'll show you one more example here. We'll start with the 5 times table. So once again, the number itself is the first number in its times table. 5, 10, 15, 20, and I'll stop there because once again we can go on forever. But you can see here 5 times 1 gives me 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is 20, all multiples of 5. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward on what a multiple is. Now, when we move forward here, we're looking now at what common multiples are. And what common multiples are is when we look at 2 or more times tables and we find common multiples within those times tables. So you'll see here that we're going to look at 2 specific times tables here. We're going to look at multiples of 2 and multiples of 4. I have this table set up here. And the top portion we're going to fill up with multiples of 2 and the bottom with multiples of 4. So let's go ahead and just do that now. So we'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. Okay, I only made 8 spaces here. We'll stop there. Okay. Now we'll go with multiples of 4 in the bottom portion of the table. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and 32. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to look at the list of multiples that we have here, and we are going to circle any common multiples that we have between 2 and 4. Okay, so let's start here. We have 4 and 4. That's a common multiple. Okay, 8 and 8. That's a common multiple. 12 and 12. That's a common multiple. 16 and 16, that's a common multiple. And if you haven't already figured it out, there is a pattern here. If we were to keep going, you'd notice it. But the fact that 4 itself is a multiple of 2 actually shows us something, and that is that every single multiple of 4 is in fact a multiple of 2 as well. Okay, so if we were to keep going, all these numbers on the bottom, we'd end up circling. Okay, now let's look at what the lowest common multiple is. So the lowest common multiple is the lowest shared multiple between 2 or more numbers. Okay, so if we went back to the last one that we did here, the lowest common multiple between 2 and 4 is 4. Okay, because it has the lowest value out of all the shared multiples. Now we'll do another example here. Okay. We're going to fill this in with multiples of 4 once again. 4, 8, 12. Okay. I don't need to be telling you all of them. You can just follow along here. I think it's pretty straightforward. You've already seen me do this. Okay, now we'll go multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. Okay, now we're going to look for common multiples again, but this time we're specifically looking for the lowest common multiple. Okay, so if we look here, I don't see 4 in the 6 times table. I don't see 6 in the 4 times table, obviously. The first one that catches my eye right here, which is in fact the lowest common multiple, is 12. So the lowest common multiple between 4 and 6 is in fact 12. So right now I've been comparing 2 times tables, the 4 times table and the 6 times table. But like I said before, it could be more. We could look for common multiples between 5 different times tables, between 7. Like, it doesn't matter, as long as you have 2 or more, you can look for a common multiple and obviously a lowest common multiple. And obviously the more times tables we deal with, the more difficult it's going to be to not only find a lowest common multiple, but to find a common multiple at all. Okay. Now, some of you may be asking, like, what is the significance of this? Why do I need to know this? Why is knowing the lowest common multiple helpful? Well, for one thing, if you've ever worked with fractions, often in order to add or subtract fractions, you need to have a common denominator. Okay, so often you're going to have to make conversions to one of the 2 fractions, if not both of the fractions, and it's helpful to know the lowest common denominator, the lowest common multiple, as well as the greatest common factor. Can also be helpful. You'll see that there is another video on greatest common factor. I'm not going to go into that, but if you're interested in looking at that, please do take a look. Okay, and even some other real world examples. Apparently, in some places, traffic lights, they use the lowest common multiple to decide how much time each traffic light is going to be allotted before it changes color. If we're trying to evenly distribute something, okay, so if we were handing a certain amount of things out, like a game of cards, for example, that's what I mean by handing an even number of things out. I'm not talking about cards specifically, but knowing the lowest common multiple can help us to distribute amounts evenly, much more efficiently and much easier. And it also helps with sorting as well. So there are quite a few real world applications for using the lowest common multiple. But I would say mathematically, you're going to be using it the most when dealing with fractions. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Leave us some feedback. If you like the video, please like and share, and subscribe if you can as well. All right, guys, hope that helped. Take care.